I'm back with Tina Chow Rudolf in the second half of the interview. And we talk about her spiritual practices, how she self cares. I mean, she has her wonderful Strange Bird beauty products that she obviously uses herself every single day and incorporates into her routine. But what else does she do? And more importantly, we talk about how the creation of her business really healed her and was really a manifestation of her spiritual journey and her own healing process, as well as what's next for her, because we are always growing and our businesses, our hobbies, our endeavors, our projects grow with us and they need to grow with us. And so I chat with Tina about what's next for her. What is she creating? And it's a very fun conversation about how sometimes I believe we are meant to create businesses, and I've definitely done this. It's definitely happened to me, where it's less about the business itself and more about the process. Like it may not be what you envision it to be, the business, the product or service you're creating, but it's very integral to your understanding of self so that the next thing that you do, you will have more clarity in. Because before I started Woo Woo Company, I had done an email newsletter. I had started an e-commerce company, and I learned so much from those things. And then, of course, my corporate job, I was always doing something entrepreneurial, always starting departments, doing new things. So it was kind of like a double whammy of entrepreneurship when I was doing the corporate stuff, 9 to 5, but also, when I wasn't quote unquote working and in my free time, I was also doing something entrepreneurial and learning really about myself. And I invite you to view starting a side hustle or a business not in the traditional sense of having it be super successful or whatever notions you have in your mind, but kind of just letting it happen and seeing it unfold in front of you and being open to where it leads you, because it's really about the journey and about how much you're able to deepen your own self-expression and understanding of self. And that's only something I've learned really recently, because before I was like, no, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to be a boss bitch. I'm going to get all these awards and all these accolades and media mentions. And it was so much ego, which is a big part of like my Leo sun and personality. But it's also been a humbling process and something that I realized that, hey, it's not always going to be that thing. Most times it's going to take a couple tries, and it's going to be more fun if you just surrender to the experience and don't expect too much of it. It doesn't mean that you should lower your standards and be like, oh, whatever, I'm not going to try too hard because of whatever reason, but it's to be open to all the possibilities and to be okay with exactly where you are and to trust in divine timing and know that your time is coming, and all the experimentation, all the different paths you've taken are going to meet up in your timeline. All the skills you've learned, all the experiences, they're all going to come together and really help you launch something that is going to be kind of like the rocket ship. I mean, I definitely feel that for the career astrology app that I'm making. I'm like, I think this is it. This is the thing that I've been needing to make. And Woo Woo Company is the foundation for me to make something like this. I mean, so fucking scared shitless. But it's a personal example of how I think all the different things I've done, all the different paths I've taken are really just coming to this point. And so if you're kind of wherever you are in your process, trust it, enjoy it. It's going to be so much better that way. I wanted to understand what you think about entrepreneurship as a healing journey, and what have you needed to heal for yourself as you've created your business?
I love that question, because for me, like what we had said earlier, is that like me creating Strange Bird is not actually for anybody else. It was my own spiritual mission, and being finally like doing enough of the work, and being brave enough to finally say to myself, like, you're worth investing in, your dreams are worth investing in, you're worth like taking a risk on, was so healing. And as you know, as an entrepreneur, like it's not something that happens overnight. It's like a day by day by day by day walking that path step by step by step. So of course on day one, when I decided like, maybe I'll try starting my own business, I was pregnant with my first child. That day I decided to do that, I wasn't like ready that day. My soul wasn't ready. My mind wasn't ready. My heart wasn't ready. But what was healing was that every day I said like, okay, I'm going to take another step forward. I'm going to take another step forward. I'm going to take another step forward. And it took me 4 years. I had 2 babies in that time. It took me 4 years to launch Strange Bird. So in that 4 years, it was absolutely a practice of course, courage. That's an obvious thing for entrepreneurs, right? But also like, what is your voice? What do you want to say in this world? Like, what are your values? Like, what do you actually believe in? And getting really, really clear about that. And what's so great about being an entrepreneur, or I guess also scary, is that my voice and what I believed in and what I wanted to say to the world was in my brand packaging and my messaging and written on the boxes and the bottles and my website. And as that voice got more clear and more powerful, my boxes started to change and my packaging started to change. The copy on my website kept changing. And so it was really cool in a way that I don't think a lot of people are able to access unless they have that sort of vehicle as an entrepreneur, to like test their voice out loud in that way. It's sort of like what you do, right? Like you go back and you say, you talk about what your business is, you go back and you listen to old podcasts, and every time you're just getting more clear and more focused as your spirit and your soul gets more clear and more focused. It's like it's like a living thing outside of yourself that is a reflection of everything that's going on inside of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've had my business I'm starting up on like the 3rd year, and it has changed so much. And of course, the
Yeah.
pandemic ushered in a lot of new things, kind of shifted what I was doing. And I think really for, my highest good and for my personal evolution. But yeah, it's changed from like events to like more healing work and sound baths, and now it's a lot more like mentorship, and now I have career clarity readings. Like it's all happened in a fairly short period of time. But yes, I do feel like my voice is getting stronger and stronger, and I'm feeling more comfortable in sharing what it is that I feel passionate about and what I think that is my service in this lifetime, like how I am meant to serve. But there's you always kind of fall into like like an anxiety trap, or you're like, oh, is this the right thing to do? But as long as like every time I've like really just really listened to my feelings and thus my intuition, it's always kind of led me the right way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's such a hard thing to do though, right? To trust yourself,
It is. It's
like,
easy,
is
but
that the voice of my intuition, right? Like, is like, what is that? Like, and so being able to even trust your intuition and listen to it, there's like so much work behind that, like even knowing that that's the voice of your intuition, trusting yourself enough, knowing yourself enough, like all of that is required,
Yes, yes. And I know that, I found you via your beauty company, Strange Bird, but you're actually a multi hyphenate. You're an artist. You do many other things. So tell us a little bit more about kind of like your return to painting, you said, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we all are, especially women. multi hyphenate. But yeah, I was painting since I was 5. I then, was quickly told by my parents who, unlike yours, wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. And so then refused to let me paint anymore. And then the compromise was that I would go to college. I would only go to college for art, period, or I wasn't going to go to college at all. So the compromise was like, okay, fine, you can go for acting, but not like painting because that was too abstract for them,
But I'm like, okay, I get, like, it's just their own definitions of things, but I'm like, same,
It
same.
was something that they could at least understand. They had TVs, right? Like they watched movies. Like it was, but a painter, like, do you know a painter? A full-time painter? Do you know what I mean?
Um, I guess I don't, but it's not like they don't exist, and it's not like they don't exist in Chinese culture,
Sure, but
right?
not definitely not with my parents. Definitely not. They're both not really artists, or at least have never really accessed that part of them. Um, and then so I was acting for a while, and then it was a hard time for an Asian woman to try to be an actress, in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it really did wear on me. And so I was always like the therapist in my group of friends. And so I'm like, okay, why don't I try social work? I've always been an activist, and let me see. So I took one non-matric class at Fordham, and it was like, whoa, like I get to spend all day talking about human rights and like social justice. Like this is amazing. And so I got my master's in social work, and it was amazing. And like I said, I worked in Chinatown at an early head start with, Chinese immigrants for like 6 or 7 years. And it was super rewarding, but that part of me that needed to create and be an artist just got louder and louder and louder and louder. And then I found life coaching as, again, an attempt to do something more creative, but still stick to what I knew and what like was acceptable. Like, being a professional, having a 9 to 5 job and a salary. And then life coaching really, everything happens for a reason, because the Handel group and that methodology literally changed my entire life and being, and ultimately led me to be able to be brave enough and clear enough to tell the truth about what I really wanted, which
Mm-hmm,
was
mm-hmm.
something that was way more creative focused, to be a boss. And that's Strange Bird. But like I said to you earlier on, Strange Bird, I don't know where Strange Bird's going to take me. I'm painting again. Um, I love Strange Bird, and I love what I'm doing with it. I think it's a really cool brand that makes really cool things, and people are really connecting to it. But I do think that the more I do things that are aligned with my like soul, the more my soul will reveal itself to me. And I do have this inkling that painting will be a huge part of whatever this life has in store for me next. So we'll see.
I love that. And yeah, the social work makes a lot of sense because your South Node, what you feel comfortable in, past lives, karma, is an Aquarius, and that's like the humanitarian sign, the activist sign. But your North Node, where you're going in life, is in Leo, for you to shine bright and to really be a creative force and to inspire people.
Yeah. I love that you said that. Thank you. I think I would have loved to hear that when I was like 27 trying to be,
Oh
or
yeah.
20 something trying to be an actress. And now I think for the first time, I'm starting to actually believe that that's possible, and that I have a contribution,
This is your path. I'm telling you right now, the astrology, this is what
does
you're
not
really
lie.
meant
Yeah.
to learn and
Yeah.
do. And so you're
Yeah.
on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so funny though, right? Like what it takes to be on the path, to find the path. There's so much stumbling. I mean, I remember my first interview even talking about Strange Bird and myself. Like, I was so nervous and unclear, and then it just takes you, like, takes you walking it further, next step, next step, next step, where you just get more and more clear and more confident about what you're trying to say, what you're trying to contribute, but that self-doubt, it like it does something to you. It does a number to you.
Oh, yeah, it does. But if you're able to pull yourself out of it or kind of speak to a mentor, read an inspiring book, then you know that you can get out of it when you fall into that ditch again, because time and time again, sometimes you find yourself there and you need to dig your way out.
Yeah. 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 And that's where like self-love comes into play, right? It's, and also self-care. It's interesting. I was talking to another mom, and she was like, thank you for sharing Strange Bird with me. And, I actually booked a haircut. I haven't like really considered taking care of myself or prioritizing myself in so long. And like, your website and what you talk about self-care really like inspired me. And so I booked a haircut. And we were talking about self-care and how like actually self-care is self-love's love language. you know it's an act of honoring yourself, and that increases love of self, right? And so it's sort of like it's a cycle. And yeah, and then I think it takes a lot, and why I say this is because I think it takes a lot of self-love to keep getting
Going.
up. Yeah, to read that book, or to listen to that podcast, or to fight to be inspired again. That requires self-love.
Ooh, that like really hit me. I haven't thought about it in that way. For you to continue, for you to do the work, and for you to kind of get your mind and your life to where you want to be, that's an act of love
Mm-hmm.
for yourself and
Yeah.
to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so great. How can people find you?
Strange Bird Beauty on Instagram. Like, that's me. Those are all of my words. That's me answering all the DMs and everything. So at Strange Bird Beauty. If you have any questions or want to talk about anything, if you want to see my art, it's Tina Chow Rudolf with an F, Rudolf, Tinachow. But it's brand new. There's like 6 posts there with my art. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh, I love it. It's going to be a hit, and I can't wait to see
Thank
all that you
you.
create.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Alice. Thank you.
For me, spirituality means a connection to myself, my higher self, as well as the universe. It's understanding that you are not alone, and to really trust in divine timing. And something that I've been saying a lot to myself recently, and it's also the screensaver on my laptop, is that what you seek is seeking you as well. Now, we all are energetic beings, and our mood shifts from day to day. But this mood also dictates how you feel, the thoughts swirling around in your head, your actions, and what you're able to attract in your life. And when I got into this space, but when I became a more spiritual person, I truly began to understand what energy meant and how I was showing up in the world and the energy that I was sharing with others. And so I hope this episode really expands your thinking on spirituality, and having this trust in yourself and the universe can really transform your life, allowing you to feel more peace, allowing you to feel more clarity, and most importantly, allowing yourself to connect with the truest version of you, your most authentic self, and then how it allows you to live an aligned life. If you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed because you're early in your spiritual awakening, or you're going through a dark night of the soul, or you've kind of been exploring spirituality for a while but haven't really been able to incorporate it into your daily routine or have a daily ritual around it, I would love to be able to support you, whether it's through a career clarity reading or working with me one-on-one for 3 months or 6 months to help you figure out your purpose, to give you all the tools and foundation to really help you live an aligned life where you feel happy, waking up, doing what you do, loving what you do. And you can find how to connect with me in the show notes, or you can always reach me on my number. I like to call it my hotline, 202-918-3414. So 202-918-3414.